Welcome back to LPW Update, your number one source for the latest news and deepest insights into the world of Little People, Big World. Today, we are cracking open a story that has been brewing just beneath the surface, a story that many have whispered about, but no one has dared to investigate. We are talking about Caryn Chandler, the woman who stepped into the heart of the Roloff family, and, as some insiders are now suggesting, maybe harboring a secret past so dark it could shatter the very foundation of the Roloff empire. For years, viewers have watched Caryn's evolution from a trusted farm manager to Matt Roloff's partner, a transition that has been anything but smooth. The timeline of her relationship with Matt has always been a point of contention, with Amy Roloff herself alluding to a connection that went beyond professional courtesy long before their divorce was finalized. But what if the controversy over when their romance began is just the tip of the iceberg? What if the carefully constructed image of Caryn Chandler is just that, a construction? We have received a series of reports from sources close to the Roloff family, reports that paint a disturbing picture of a woman with a meticulously hidden past. These insiders, who have requested to remain anonymous for fear of reprisal, have pointed to a growing unease within the family, particularly from Jacob Roloff, who has always been the family's resident skeptic. Before we dive into this exclusive story, if you are as passionate about the truth as we are and want to stay ahead of all the breaking news in the Little People, Big World universe, make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Your support allows us to dig deeper and bring you the stories that no one else will. Now, let's get into it. The narrative we've been fed is that Caryn was a dedicated, long-term employee of Roloff Farms, working her way up from a manager to Matt's indispensable right-hand woman. But what about before that? What about the life Caryn led before she ever set foot on that now famous pumpkin patch? Our sources have told us that this is a topic that is strictly off limits. Any questions about her life before the farm are met with vague answers and deflections. Her family history is glossed over. Her previous career aspirations are a mystery. It's a perfectly curated blank slate, and for Jacob, it's a massive red flag. According to our insider reports, Jacob's suspicions were recently reignited after a series of minor yet unsettling financial discrepancies began to surface on the farm. Small amounts of money, unaccounted for here and there, nothing major, but enough to create a pattern. And what truly set off alarm bells for Jacob was Caryn's almost preternatural ability to manage and manipulate these financial records. It was a skill that seemed to go far beyond what was required for managing a farm. It was, as one source described it, the work of a seasoned professional, someone who knew exactly how to make numbers disappear. This, coupled with what Jacob perceived as Caryn's increasing control over the farm's finances and Matt's assets, pushed him to take a drastic step. We are being told that Jacob, using his own funds, has hired a private investigator to delve into the life of Caryn Chandler before she became Caryn Chandler of Roloff Farms. The initial stages of the investigation, we are told, were fruitless. The private investigator hit a digital wall. It was as if Caryn Chandler, before a certain date, simply did not exist. There were no public records, no employment history, no digital footprint to speak of. It was a ghost profile, and for a seasoned PI, that's a telltale sign that someone has something to hide. It was then that the investigator decided to take a different approach. Instead of searching for a name, he began searching for a face. Using a publicly available photograph of Caryn, he ran it through a series of advanced facial recognition databases, cross-referencing it with millions of records from across the country. And that's when he got a hit, a big one. The name that came back was not Caryn Chandler. The name, according to these reports, was Karen Johnson, And Caryn Johnson had a past, a very dark past. A decade ago, in a state far from Oregon, Caryn Johnson was the central figure in a massive corporate embezzlement scandal. She was the head of accounting for a mid-level tech firm, a company that suddenly found itself on the brink of collapse due to a mysterious and catastrophic loss of funds. Millions of dollars had vanished, seemingly into thin air. And at the center of it all was Caryn Johnson. She was the prime suspect, the one with the access, the motive, and the opportunity. The case went to trial, but in a shocking turn of events, Caryn was never convicted. The official reason was a lack of evidence. The prosecution's key witness mysteriously recanted their testimony at the last minute, and the paper trail, which had once seemed so clear, was now a convoluted mess. But despite the acquittal, the court of public opinion had already passed its verdict. Caryn Johnson was fired, disgraced, and ostracized from the corporate world. Her career was over, and then she disappeared. Shortly after the trial, Caryn Johnson legally changed her name to Caryn Chandler and moved to Oregon, where she started a new life, a life where no one knew her name or the secret she carried. This is the story that the private investigator, according to our sources, has presented to Jacob Roloff. A complete dossier filled with court documents from the original investigation, a certified copy of the legal name change application, and the smoking gun. An old, grainy newspaper article from a local paper in her previous state. The article details the embezzlement scandal, the trial, and the shocking acquittal. And right there in black and white is a picture of a younger but unmistakable Caryn Johnson. The resemblance to the Caryn Chandler we know today is undeniable. If these reports are true, this changes everything. This means that the woman who has integrated herself into the very fabric of the Roloff family, the woman who Matt Roloff has built his life with, is a complete stranger. Her entire identity, her name, her backstory, it's all a carefully crafted lie, a shield to protect her from a criminal past. This isn't just about a hidden past, it's about a pattern of behavior. The so-called financial discrepancies on the farm are no longer just minor concerns. They are potential evidence of a recurring and deeply disturbing pattern. The question now is, what will Jacob do with this information? Will he confront Matt? Will he expose Caryn to the rest of the family? The implications are enormous. For Matt, this would be a devastating blow. To realize that the woman he loves, the woman he trusts, has been lying to him since the day they met would be nothing short of catastrophic. It would force him to reevaluate everything he thought he knew about her, about their relationship, and about the future of the farm. The very foundation of their life together would crumble, revealing a dark and unsettling truth. And what about the rest of the family? How will they react to this bombshell? Will they rally around Matt, or will this create an even deeper rift in an already fractured family? The battle lines would be drawn, and the fallout could be more explosive than anything we have ever seen on Little People, Big World. The carefully curated image of the idyllic family farm would be shattered, replaced by a dark and twisted tale of deception, betrayal, and a secret past that has finally come to light. This is a story that is still developing, and we are working tirelessly to get more information. We are reaching out to our sources, trying to get a copy of this alleged dossier, and seeking any corroborating evidence we can find. The implications of this are so significant that we have to treat it with the utmost care and diligence. But if these insider reports are even partially true, then the story of Caryn Chandler is about to take a very dark and very public turn. What are your thoughts on this? Do you believe that Caryn could be hiding a secret past? Have you always had your suspicions, or is this a complete shock to you? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one, and your insights and opinions are a crucial part of this community. As we continue to follow this story, we will bring you any and all updates as soon as we get them. This is a pivotal moment in the history of Little People, Big World, and you can be sure that we will be here every step of the way to bring you the truth, no matter how shocking it may be. The facade of the perfect life on the farm may be about to crumble, and what lies beneath could be more shocking than any of us could have ever imagined. The reckoning is coming, and when it does, the Roloff family will never be the same. This is just the beginning of what could be the biggest scandal to ever hit the world of reality television, and you have a front row seat. Stay tuned, because this is a story that is far from over. We are entering a new chapter in the saga of the Roloff family, a chapter that could very well be its last. The secret past of Caryn Chandler, or should we say Caryn Johnson, is a ticking time bomb, and it's about to explode. Let's dive back into the developing story that is sending shockwaves through the Little People, Big World community. For those of you just joining us, we have received a series of but highly detailed reports from insiders close to the Roloff family, reports that allege Caryn Chandler is living under an assumed identity to escape a dark criminal past. The bombshell claim is that Jacob Roloff, ever the family watchdog, hired a private investigator who discovered that the woman we know as Caryn Chandler is, in fact, a woman named Caryn Johnson. This Caryn Johnson was reportedly the prime suspect in a major corporate embezzlement scandal a decade ago. Though she was acquitted due to a sudden lack of evidence, she was publicly disgraced. Shortly after, she allegedly changed her name legally and moved to Oregon, effectively burying her past and reinventing herself, only to resurface as a manager at Roloff Farms and eventually as Matt Roloff's partner. The private investigator has, according to our sources, provided Jacob with a comprehensive dossier containing court documents, the legal name change application, and an old newspaper article with a photo, all irrefutably linking Caryn to this sordid past. This isn't just a rumor, it's a detailed account from sources who claim to have seen the evidence. Now, we must consider the fallout. If this information is accurate, the confrontation between Jacob and Matt is not a matter of if, but when. And our sources are now suggesting that this confrontation may have already happened or is imminent. The dossier is a ticking time bomb, and its detonation will not just crack the foundation of Matt and Caryn's relationship, it will send seismic shocks through the entire Roloff dynasty, potentially bringing it all crumbling down. The key to this entire scandal is not just the alleged crime itself, but the decade of deception that followed. It recontextualizes everything we have seen on our screens. Every interaction, every business decision, every family argument involving Caryn is now cast in a sinister new light. Let's break down how this alleged revelation would impact each member of the Roloff family, based on what our insiders are telling us about the current mood within the family. For Matt Roloff, this would be the ultimate betrayal. Matt, the patriarch, the ideas man, the savvy businessman who prides himself on his ability to read people and make deals, would be forced to confront the chilling possibility that he has been the subject of an elaborate, decade-long con. His love for Caryn has been a central storyline for years. He has defended her against criticism from his family and the public. He has restructured his life, his business, and his future around her. To discover that the entire relationship was potentially built on a lie designed to hide a criminal past would be emotionally annihilating. Our sources speculate that his initial reaction would be one of furious denial. He would likely accuse Jacob of manufacturing this, of holding on to an old grudge. But the evidence in the dossier is described as irrefutable. The legal documents, the name change, the photograph, it's not a theory, it's a paper trail. The slow, agonizing realization that the woman sleeping next to him is a stranger would be a psychological blow from which he may never recover. It would force him to question his own judgment in a fundamental way. How could he, Matt Roloff, have been so blind? This revelation would also explain, in the most chilling way possible, the deep and painful estrangement from his own sons. For years, Matt has been seemingly baffled by the breakdown of his relationships with Zach and Jeremy, particularly concerning the farm. He has painted it as them being entitled or unwilling to meet his terms. But what if Caryn was the one whispering in his ear, subtly manipulating him, driving a wedge between father and sons? An embezzler's greatest tool is the isolation of their target. By cutting Matt off from his family, Caryn would, in theory, gain more unchecked control over his emotional and financial worlds. Every argument over the farm's sale price, every failed negotiation, would suddenly look less like a business disagreement and more like a calculated move in a long game of financial conquest. And then there is Amy Roloff. For Amy, this news would be a bitter, tragic vindication. Viewers will remember her years of palpable discomfort around Caryn. She spoke of an inappropriate relationship between Matt and Caryn long before the divorce was public, a feeling of betrayal that has haunted her for years. She was painted as bitter, as someone who couldn't move on. But if Caryn is indeed Caryn Johnson, a master manipulator with a hidden past, then Amy's intuition was not just correct, it was a warning sign that everyone, including Matt, ignored. Our sources suggest that Amy would feel a complex mixture of emotions. There would be no joy in this, only a deep sadness for Matt and the potential danger he has been in. But there would also be the undeniable confirmation of her deepest fears, that Caryn's motives were never pure. It would validate her long-held belief that Caryn's entry into their lives was the catalyst that truly destroyed their family. This could potentially open a new, albeit painful, line of communication between Amy and Matt. For the first time in years, Matt might be forced to admit that Amy was right. He would have to confront the reality that he didn't just leave his wife for another woman. He left her for a carefully constructed lie. For the children, this would be a unifying event, but one born of tragedy. Zach and Tori, who have already had a very public and painful falling out with Matt and Caryn, would likely see this as the final nail in the coffin of that relationship. Their decision to move an hour away to create distance would no longer look like a petty squabble over the farm. It would look like a prescient act of self-preservation. Our insiders are reporting that Zach has always shared Jacob's suspicions about Caryn, albeit in a quieter, less confrontational way. He has seen firsthand her growing influence over his father and the way it has changed him. This news would solidify his resolve to protect his own family, Jackson, Lila, and Josiah, from the toxicity and potential danger of the situation. He would see his father not as an adversary, but as a victim, a man who needs to be saved from himself and the woman who has deceived him. Similarly, Jeremy and Audrey, who have also forged their own path away from the farm, would have their past decisions validated. Their choice not to be entangled in the farm's complex future under Matt and Caryn's leadership would appear incredibly wise in hindsight. This revelation would likely bring the four Roloff children, Jacob, Zach, Jeremy, and Molly, together in a way we haven't seen in years. They would be united by a common cause, to protect their father and to reclaim the legacy of Roloff Farms, a legacy they feel has been hijacked by an outsider with a dark and calculated agenda. Let's delve deeper into the alleged contents of this dossier, the smoking gun that Jacob is now holding. According to our sources, the court documents from the embezzlement case are damning, not because they prove a conviction, but because they illustrate a pattern of behavior. The case involved a sophisticated scheme of creating ghost employees and falsifying invoices over a period of several years. The total amount stolen was reportedly in the low seven figures. The documents allegedly detail how Caryn Johnson was the only person with the access and knowledge to execute such a complex fraud. The prosecution's case was built on a mountain of circumstantial evidence, but it all pointed to her. The reason it fell apart, the lack of evidence, was reportedly due to the lead witness, a junior accountant who had initially blown the whistle, suddenly recanting his testimony. The rumor at the time, which the old newspaper article supposedly alludes to, was that he had been threatened or paid off. Caryn Johnson walked free, but the cloud of suspicion never left. She was a pariah in her industry. This context is crucial. She didn't just make a mistake. She was allegedly at the center of a major premeditated corporate crime. Then there is the legal name change application. This is perhaps the most chilling piece of evidence. It's one thing to move to a new state to start over. It's another thing entirely to erase your own name. The application, filed just weeks after the trial concluded, would show a clear and deliberate intent to become someone else. The reason cited for the change, according to our sources, was vague. Something along the lines of personal reasons and a desire for a new beginning. But in the context of the embezzlement scandal, the motive becomes crystal clear. It wasn't about a new beginning. It was about escaping a past. It was about creating a new identity that was untraceable, a clean slate that would allow her to integrate into a new community without the baggage of being a disgraced and suspected felon. She didn't just move to Oregon, she fled there. And finally, the newspaper article. It's described as a small local piece, the kind of article that would never show up in a national search. It details the shock in the local community that Caryn Johnson got away with it. It features quotes from former colleagues expressing their disbelief. And it features the photograph, a professional headshot of a younger woman with a different hairstyle, but with the same unmistakable eyes and facial structure as Caryn Chandler. The PI, our sources say, has done a full biometric analysis, and it is a 100% match. This article is the visual proof, the piece of evidence that connects the person to the crime. It is the face of the woman who allegedly stole a fortune, and it is the same face that has been smiling next to Matt Roloff for the past decade. Now, we must connect this alleged past to Caryn's present actions. Suddenly, her behavior on the show takes on a whole new meaning. Think about her incredible skill with the farm's finances. She is always portrayed as being indispensable to Matt, the only one who can make sense of the books. Is this just business acumen? Or is it the practiced skill of a professional embezzler, someone who knows exactly how to manipulate spreadsheets and balance sheets to her own advantage? The minor financial discrepancies that reportedly reignited Jacob's suspicion were small, but they are classic signs of a larger scheme. It often starts with small amounts, testing the system, seeing what can go unnoticed before moving on to larger, more significant sums. Consider her role in the family's division. She has been at the center of the farm's most contentious issue, its sale. She was present during the tense negotiations with Zach. She has been Matt's confidant and advisor throughout the process. Was her advice aimed at finding a fair solution for the family, or was it aimed at ensuring the sons were cut out, leaving Matt, and by extension herself, in sole control of the multi-million-dollar asset? If her goal was financial control, then alienating the children would be the most logical first step. By positioning herself as Matt's only true ally, she consolidates her power. The woman who allegedly isolated a company from its money is now potentially isolating a man from his family. It is a terrifyingly similar pattern of behavior. Her entire relationship with Matt could be reframed as the ultimate long con. Did she target him? A wealthy man, emotionally vulnerable after a painful public divorce, with a valuable and complex asset that needed managing. It's a predator's dream scenario. She could have seen Roloff Farms not as a home, but as her next mark, a decade-long project to secure her financial future, far from the prying eyes of her past. This brings us to the reckoning, the scene of Jacob confronting Matt. We can only speculate on how this would unfold, but our sources paint a tense and dramatic picture. Jacob, no longer the rebellious teenager, but a concerned son laying a file on his father's desk, not with anger, but with a somber gravity. He wouldn't be saying, "I told you so." He would be saying, "Dad, you are in danger." He would have to watch his father's world collapse in real time, Matt's denial, his rage, his confusion, and finally, the heartbreaking acceptance as he looks at the photo of Caryn Johnson and sees the woman he loves. It would be a moment of profound and devastating clarity. The foundation of his life for the past 10 years would turn to dust. Every memory, every laugh, every shared moment would be tainted by the possibility of deception. He would have to face the fact that his estrangement from his children, the greatest pain of his recent life, may have been orchestrated by the very person he turned to for comfort. The implications for the future of Little People, Big World, and the Roloff family are monumental. If these reports are true and Matt confronts Caryn, their relationship is over. But it wouldn't end there. There would be legal and financial ramifications. Matt would have to launch a full forensic audit of the farm's finances for the entire time Caryn was employed. Was she siphoning money? Was her management a cover for a slow, methodical embezzlement? The farm, the symbol of the family's unity and success, would become a potential crime scene. This scandal would force Matt to choose a side, a choice he has been avoiding for years, the woman he loves or the family he built. With the truth revealed, there is no middle ground. He would have to humble himself and go to his children, to Amy, and admit that they were right, that he was wrong, and that he needs their help. Could the Roloff family ever recover from a betrayal of this magnitude? It's possible that this crisis could be the very thing that brings them back together. United against a common enemy, they might be able to heal the wounds that have been festering for years. Zach, Jeremy, and Jacob might step in to help their father pick up the pieces, to save the farm, and to restore the Roloff legacy. It would be a long and painful road, but it could lead to a genuine reconciliation, one that fans have been hoping to see for years. The show, Little People, Big World, would be transformed from a simple family reality series into a gripping true crime drama. The ratings would be astronomical. Viewers would be glued to their screens, waiting to see the fallout, the confrontation, and the ultimate fate of the family and the farm. This is the story that is currently unfolding behind the scenes, according to our exclusive sources. It is a story of identity fraud, alleged corporate crime, and a decade of deception at the heart of one of America's most beloved reality TV families. The woman known as Caryn Chandler may be a complete fabrication, a character created by a woman named Caryn Johnson to escape her past. And that past has now come back to haunt her and the entire Roloff family. We are continuing to dig, to find more sources, and to seek out any tangible proof of these claims. We promise to bring you every new development in this incredible story. The reckoning is here, and for the Roloff family, nothing will ever be the same again. Stay tuned, subscribe to LPBW Update, and hit the notification bell, because what comes next will change everything you thought you knew about Little People, Big World. The truth is about to come out.